My name is Scott Ryder. I work at Horsepower Motorworks. I'm sitting in a 1938 Mercedes 170 VS Alpine Racer, which is serial number 1 of only 10 built. My father purchased the car in 1990. We had a small family-owned restoration shop that we did several award-winning cars, so we started to restore it. We tore it all apart. But as you know, the shoemaker has the worst shoes. It got put on the back burner for a long time, and then when our business closed and I started over here at Horsepower Motorworks, my father worked on it, pretty much day in and day out. Unfortunately, my father passed away a couple of years ago and wasn't able to see it to completion. So for our family, myself and my 2 brothers and my mom, this was a dream come true. This is serial number 1 of 10 170 VS built. There was 30 total, and to the best of our knowledge, this is the only one left in existence with all of its original body panels. There's a few others that are around the world, but they have been rebodied or new body panels to look like originals, but they aren't an original car. It was in pretty rough shape when we purchased the car, when my dad purchased the car, because it is an off-road and Alpine Racer. Usually it takes a couple of years to do a full restoration, but because my father had done a lot of the research and some of the chassis and engine work, we were able to complete it in about 6 months. And so to have it finally win and win an award and have my mom drive up with me to receive the award was very, very touching. It was difficult, especially the last probably 2 months or so of 7 days a week and 10-hour plus days. But yes, it's a lot of work, but it's also very, very rewarding when you see it like this. And actually, the weekend before we went to Amelia Island, I invited a lot of my father's and family friends over to see the car that have seen it in many different shapes and in tough shape through the years. So the way that the Amelia Island Concours works is they come around and hand out ribbons for best in class, second in class, stuff like that. But the purple ribbon is the special ribbon to get, which this car received a purple ribbon, which, as you can expect, we were all very excited about. So we drove it up to the podium, and my mom and I, and so a fellow by the name of Jackie Ickes, who's a world famous, very, very good Le Mans driver, presented us with the Chairman's Choice Award. The chairman of the concours picks out a car of significance and restoration, just kind of his best of choice. The rest of the day we spent showing off our award and being very relieved, because we had a big push to get this car done in time for the concours, so it was all of our efforts were paid off when we drove it up to the podium and took home an award and a lot of excitement. The car was built under Adolf Hitler's kind of demand, actually, because other manufacturers were winning the off-road, the Alpine Racing, Auto Union, and some English stuff. And so he asked Mercedes to build a car that would beat him. And so in 38 and 39, they built these 30 cars between the 170 and the 220. And they were actually very, very successful. And most of the races were quite long, being off-road. They were about up to 1,000 miles long. And so this car raced extensively through 38 and 39. And then we kind of lost track of what happened to it, where it went. But in 1950, it was brought over to the States by a serviceman. He found it over in Germany. And then it went through a few different owners till my father purchased it in 1990. We do have photos of this car racing in black, and it's also believed to be the only black one that raced. and because it was serial number 1, we figured, you know, it was the first one out, why not make it black? All right, so what we have here is a brochure of the car, just kind of a quick history of the car, very small amount of the literature and all the stuff that we have on the car. And the front page is a picture, an overview of the car, which was photographed by Steve Rossini. And then here is a picture of our actual car racing with the 211 on the hood and the license plate. Here are the different body tags, frame number, engine number, and this is the most important part of it because it is the body tag, which is what proves that it's serial number 1, and the body number is on each panel, and this is that's the money right there, is that tag. Second page is kind of showing what the car went through. All of the off-road racing, the abuse, these things, not our car in general, but the cars themselves, the different posters, and a brief history on the car itself. On this page is just more, that's what the car was like when we bought the car. And then this is when it moved over to Horsepower Motorworks, and we started the restoration, showing the dashboard, the chassis, other cars that, you know, just again, all trying to find different ideas on the car. Here's a picture of all the different guys that worked on it. Again, the chassis, members of Horsepower Motorworks, and here's the photos that Steve Rossini, Mr. Rossini, did of the car. And so this is to hand out to interested parties, prospective buyers, whatever, and then again, if they're really interested, we have a lot of other information on the car. The car is for sale. It's already entered into the Greenwich, Connecticut Concours, which is in the last weekend in May, early June. It's hopefully going to go to a new home. Now that we're all done with it, I'd like to thank all involved. First and foremost, Paul Zelter and Angel Boev, Craig Vandewall, Tim Schmaltz, Tim Bruder. There was several other people that I had to get parts from, and all that, you know, rush parts to us. New Era Performance machined a couple of parts for us. Definitely a team effort. Very tiresome, but they worked at it, and you know, I'm just so pleased that we have such a good team here at Horsepower Motorworks that could finish this in 6-7 months and do an award-winning job at that. You know, it's, you know, you can finish a car that quickly, but to be able to win at a concours is going above and beyond. So, thank you.